topography of a vacant college, Larium anecdotes, and propensities of predecessors, a long shot scouts, list of necessaries condolence of university friends. Ascending a dark stone staircase till the oaken beams of the roof proclaimed we had reached the domiciliary abode of genius, I found myself in the center of my future habitation, an attic on the 3rd floor. I much doubt if poor Belzoni, when he discovered the Egyptian sepulchre, could have exhibited more astonishment. The old bedmaker and the scout of my predecessor had prepared the apartment for my reception by gutting it of everything useful to the value of a cloak pin. The former was engaged in sweeping up the dust, which, from the clouds that surrounded us, would not appear to have been disturbed for 6 months before at least. I had nearly broken my shins, on my first entrance, over the fire shovel and bucket, and I was now in more danger of being choked with filth. Who inhabited this delightful place before Mark? A mad wag, but a generous gentleman, sir. Take notice. One Charles Rattle, Esquire, who was expelled college for smuggling. Take notice. The proctor, with the town marshal and his bulldogs, detected him and 2 others one night drawing up some fresh provision in the college plate basket. Mr. Rattle, in his fright, dropped the fair nunnifcent. Clements plump upon the proctor, who could not understand the joke, but, having recovered 152 his legs, entered the college, and found one of the fair sisters concealed in Mr. Rattle's room. Take notice. In consequence, he was next day pulled up before the big wigs, when, refusing to make a suitable apology, he received sentence of expulsion. Take notice. He must have been a genius, quoth I, and a very eccentric one too, from the relics he has left behind of his favorite propensities. In one corner of the room lay deposited a heap of lumber, thrown together, as a printer would say, in pie, composed of broken tables, broken bottles, trunks, noseless bellows, books of all descriptions, a pair of muffles, and the cap of sacred Academus with a hole through the crown emblematical, I should think, of the pericranium it had once covered, and stuck upon the leg of a broken chair. The rats, those very agreeable visitors of ancient habitations, were seen scampering away upon our entrance, and the ceiling was elegantly decorated with the smoke of a candle in a great variety of ornamented designs, consisting of caricatures of dignitaries and the Christian names of favorite damsels. There was poor Cicero, with a smashed crown turned upside down in the fireplace, and a map of Oxford hanging in tatters above it. A portrait of Tom Cribb was in the space adjoining the window, not one whole pane of which had survived the general wreck. But what most puzzled me was the appearance of the cupboard door. The bottom hinge had given way, and it hung suspended by one joint in an oblique direction, exhibiting, on an inside face, a circle chalked for a target, and perforated with numerous holes. This door was in a right line with the bedroom, and when thrown open, covered a loophole of a window that looked across the quadrangle directly into the principal's apartments. 1. 153 It was in this way, as Mark informed me, my predecessor amused himself in a morning by lying in bed and firing at the target, till, unhappily, on one occasion the ball passed through a hole in the door, the loophole window, and, crossing the quadrangle, entered whizzing past the dignitary's ear, and that of his family who were at breakfast with him into the back of the chair. He had but a moment before providentially quitted to take a book from his library shelves, when the affair occasioned a strict search, and the door in question bore too strong an evidence to escape detection. Rattle was rusticated for a term, but, returning the same singular character, was always in some scrape or other till his final expulsion. Having given the necessary orders for repairs, Mark made one of his best bows and produced a long scroll of paper, on which was written a list of necessaries, too, which, said the ancient, take notice, every gentleman provides on his taking possession of his rooms. And every gentleman's scout claims upon his leaving. Take notice, said I. Mark bowed assent. I had now both seen and heard enough of college comforts to wish myself safe back again at Eton, in the snug, clean, sanded dormitory of my old dame. Looking first at my purse and then at the list of necessaries, I could not resist a sigh on perceiving my new guinea 3 to be already in danger, that it would require some caution to steer clear of the forest of debt, 4, and keep out of South jeopardy, 5, and some talent to gain the new settlement, 6, or prevent my being ultimately laid up in the river Tick, 7, condemned in the Vice-Chancellor's court, 8, and consigned, for the benefit of the captors, to Fort Marshall, 9. 1. The circumstance here alluded to actually occurred some time since, when GCN and Lord C nearly shot Dr. Capelstone of Oriel and his predecessor, Dr. Evely. The former was expelled in consequence. 2. A list of necessaries consists of all the necessary culinary articles, tea equipage, brooms, brushes, pails, and C. 3. New Guinea first possession of income. 4. Forest of debt payment of debts. 5. South Jeopardy terrors of insolvency. 6. Next settlement's final reckoning. 7. River tick springing out of standing debts, which only equals. 8. Vice-Chancellor's court creditors' last shift. 9. Fort Marshall University Marshal's post charge themselves at the expiration of 3 years by leaving the lake of credit and meandering through the haunts of 100 creditors. 154 . Rather romantic, but not elegant, said some voices at the door, which, on turning my head, I discovered to be my 2 friends, Echo and Eglantine, who, suspecting the state of the rooms from the known character of the previous occupier, had followed me upstairs to enjoy the pleasure of quizzing a novice. A snug appointment this, old fellow, said Echo. Very airy and contemplative, rejoined Eglantine, pointing first to the broken window, and after to the mutilated remains of books and furniture. Quite the larium of a man of genius, continued the former, and very fine scope for the exhibition of improved taste, and an excellent opportunity for raillery, quoth I. Well, old fellow, said Tom, I wish you safe through done territory 10 and the preserve of long bills 11. If you are not pretty well blunted, 12, the first start will try your wind. Courage, Blackmantle, said Eglantine. We must not have you laid up here in the marshes of impediment 13 with all the horrors of East Jeopardy 14, as if you was lost in the cave of antiquity 15. Rally, my old fellow, for the long hope, 16 shoot past mounts. 10 done territory circle of creditors, to be paid. 11 preserve of long bills stock of debts, to be discharged. 12 blunted London slang, for plenty of money. 13 marshes of impediment troublesome preparation, for the schools. 14 East Jeopardy terrors of anticipation. 15 cave of antiquity depot of old authors. 16 the long hope Johnson defines, a hope, to be any sloping plain between 2 ridges of mountains. Here it is the symbol of long expectations in studying for a degree. 155 Aldrich and Euclid, 17, the Roman tumuli 18 and point failure 19. And then, having gained Fount Stagira 20, pass easily through Little Go Vale, 21, reach the summit of the Pindaric Heights 22, and set yourself down easy in the temple of Bacchus 23, and the region of Rejoicing 24, or if you should fall a sacrifice in the district of Sappers 25, Old Fellow. Said Echo, or Founder in Dodd's Sound 26, why you can retreat to Cam Roads 27, or lay up for life in the Bay of Condolence. 28, for heaven's sake, let us leave the Gulf of Misery, said I, alluding to the state of my rooms, and bend our course where some more amusing novelty presents itself. To Bagley Wood, said Echo, to break cover and introduce you to the Egyptians. Only I must give my scout directions first to see the old bookseller 29, and have my imposition 30, ready for being absent from chapel this morning, or else I shall be favored with another. 17 Mount Aldrich, Mount Euclid Logic and Mathematics. 18 Tumuli, raised by the Romans' difficulties, offered by Livy and Tacitus, in the studies for first-class honors. 19-point failure catastrophe of plucking. 20 Fount Stagira Fount, named after the birthplace of Aristotle. 21 Little Go, Vale orderly step, to the first examination. 22 Pindaric height study of Pindar's Odes. 23 Temple of Bacchus merrymaking, after getting a lycet. 24 Region of rejoicing joy, attendant on success in the schools. 25 District of Saberstrack, of those who sap at their quarto and folio volumes. 26 Dodds, sound where the candidate will have to acknowledge the receipt of a certificate empowering him to float down Bachelor Creek. 27 Cam Road's retreat to Cambridge by way of a change. 28 Bay of condolence where we console our friends, if plucked, and left at a nonplus. 29 A well-known bookseller in Oxford, generally called imposition G, from his preparing translations for the members of the university. 30 imposition C prick bill. Tilde 156 tilde visit from the prick bill. Agreed, said Eglantine, and Blackmantle and myself will, in the meantime, visit Sadler and engage a couple of his prime hacks to accompany you. 31 prick bills at Christ Church, junior students who prick with a pin the names of those gentlemen who are at chapel. Immediately after the service, the bills, with the noblemen and gentlemen commoners' names, are taken to the dean. Those with the students' and commoners' names to the acting censor for the week. And the bachelor's bills to the subdean, who generally inform the prick bills what impositions shall be set those gentlemen who absented themselves from chapel. These are written upon strips of paper and carried to the gentlemen by the prick bill's scouts. Copy of an original imposition. SB 259, particular MMC. P. B signifies translate no. 259 spectator to the word particular by Monday morning at chapel time prick bill. The excursion to Bagley Wood.